age of strife under Savannah's cobalt skies, where freight and fire intertwine.
I'm Fred McMurray, and this is another episode of Cargo Chronicles, how Harbor Freight Transport talks logistics. Today's guest is Tom O'Brien of IMS Transport Solutions. Tom, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Fred. Pleasure to be here today.
So, tell us a little bit about IMS Transport Solutions.
Sure thing. Yeah, absolutely. And it's a journey that starts back in 1995. At this point, we actually run kind of two different pieces of our business. The first is IMS Transport Solutions, as you mentioned. That is our freight brokerage that still operates today, started all the way back in October of 1995. We're also operating a cloud-based logistics management platform, kind of like a SaaS model. That's IMS Logistics Management Solutions. We rebranded almost 10 years ago just to kind of separate the two. But ultimately, we were started back in 1995 by the same two current co-owners with a very clear vision to be able to provide the operational service and technology needed to completely streamline the land transportation process for international shippers and to do that with an exceptional level of customer support. So certainly over time and as technology has changed and grown, how we do that has changed, but that's really kind of at the core of our existence.
Okay, so as I was doing my research, initially it looked like you were that traditional freight brokerage, but the more I looked, the more I realized that rather than being a uh, traditional type, you'd gone into freight management services. So, what give a, if you would, an overview or what services do you provide?
Sure, yeah, and that really was the root of the beginnings of our company is really that managed freight through a brokerage, primarily focused on container drayage, and that's how we've gotten to know the fantastic crew at Harbor Freight over the years as well, is through that side of our business most directly. Um, but as time went on, as technology has changed and grown, um, initially we built a system for us to run our brokerage on, certainly. Um, and then again, as time and technology has changed and evolved, those tools became applicable not only for our own operational needs, but also had benefits to our customers. And also over time, customers' willingness and ability to use brokers has changed as well. There's more of a desire now for customers to go directly to asset-based transportation partners. They still need better tools to better manage their own truckers, and that really led to the platform side. Visibility, execution, reporting tools have become more commoditized and more um, available to customers. So we entered that space as everything really evolved.
Okay, so you're one of those who built your own set of tools for yourself and then went, hmm, our clients need these. So I love that. That's always the best way. Um, so a couple of questions that I do want to jump into is I, in the time you've been involved, in time IMS has been around, we're talking slightly over 30 years, if my math is right. How's freight brokerage changed?
Yeah, it's changed a lot. It's changed a lot, and really a lot of the change has happened since COVID, since the pandemic. Um, in general, the barriers to entry to a freight brokerage are pretty low. You need, to post your bond and get your authority and everything like that, and you need a computer and a phone. You used to need a fax machine and some other things like that, but that's really it. That's all it takes to start a brokerage. So we saw during COVID, because of the needs in the marketplace, a ton of brokerages popped up. It's added a lot of capacity, some of it real, some of it artificial over the years, but that led to the creation of a lot more brokers, some based here in the United States, some not based here in the United States. So it increased competition and everything. And the practices of these kind of newer brokers isn't necessarily to the same extent, isn't necessarily the compliance side isn't necessarily done to the same extent of an established broker like ourselves, the way that we vet carriers and onboard new trucking partners and insurance requirements and all the due diligence we do as an established broker with these processes in place. Other brokers aren't necessarily doing that, especially the ones that have popped up kind of since COVID. So there became a lot more of them. It's kind of held rates down a little bit. That's also happened on the drayage side, the trucking side. We've saw a lot of trucking companies pop up because there were a lot more freight needs. That leads to more capacity, downward rate pressure. So in general, for freight brokerage, rate levels have been lower. There's been downward pressure on rates. There's been overcapacity. We're starting to see some of that change, though. There's been some regulation changes, some Supreme Court rulings that make
Per-
it important for brokers to do things, quote unquote, the right way. And thankfully for us, we're one of them. So I'm sure brokerage is about to evolve yet again.
Curry versus Montgomery is one of those cases. We actually did an episode on that a month or two ago. So yeah, that was an eye opener for those not in the industry. Okay, so right now, what are the biggest challenges shippers face in securing capacity?
Well, right now, specifically today, the market's even a little bit different than it was, 3 to 6 months ago. Generally speaking, things domestically, at least in the supply chain, have been running relatively smoothly. There's no labor unrest at the ports. The West Coast and Eastern Gulf Coast labor
Give
deals are
it
in
time.
place. Yeah, exactly, for now. So you don't have pending labor issues or things like that. Fluidity at terminals has been by and large pretty well. There's always some challenging areas here and there, and they pop up with weather and congestion and things like that. But by and large, everything's running pretty smoothly. There's capacity in the market. Um, so there aren't a ton of challenges right now, I would say, for shippers in finding trucking options. I would say the biggest challenge is probably vetting your carriers properly and choosing the right ones to mitigate risk and keep your risk factors low. Um, that said, though, within the last, 6 to 8 weeks, we've seen, and certainly there's a lot out there about inventory pull forward and ordering to kind of pull peak season forward a little bit. So we're seeing the effects of that now. We're seeing capacity become a bit more limited. So capacity could be a bit more of an issue for shippers than it has been this year. Um, but yeah, by and large, I would say the biggest challenge is choosing your partners wisely and working with the right kind of carriers.
All right, so I choose a company, and you obviously, as you said, you got to choose them wisely. What are the key performance indicators you should use to A, choose a partner, and B, to monitor what's happening?
Sure, absolutely. It's a great question. I mean, you want to look at several compliance related items, I would call it. You want to look at their safety rating. You want to look at their inspections. How many power units do they show? How many inspections? What is their service record? What is their safety rating? You also want to make sure that you get insurance certificates where you're named as the certificate holder so you can monitor pending expiration of insurance for your truck partners. So that's really kind of from a compliance standpoint. From an operational standpoint, you really want to understand your freight versus the freight that your truckers kind of like to move, I would say. Work with carriers that specialize in moving the kind of cargo that you move. Maybe they're house truckers for the shipping lines that you work with, or maybe they have other accounts that are delivering or picking up in the areas where your DCs are, so that you can really try to find those operational efficiencies, work with the right truckers on the right type of freight. Then when it comes to actually monitoring and managing performance, A, you want to be able to benchmark their rates. There's some tools out there to be able to do it. We actually provide one, a projected market rate tool, which customers use for benchmarking. So certainly you want to benchmark a rate and accessorial fees, but then operationally, you need to be able to track your actual spend versus what you procure at, rates and accessorials. But then performance wise, we have customers and we ourselves in our own brokerage look at things like terminal dwell, how long it's taking to get containers from either the port or the rail out, how long they're sitting, then how long to deliver it, once they're pulled to delivery, after they're delivered and empty, how long does it take to get containers back? We call that street time, the time between outgate to empty return. You want to try to minimize your time on the street. There's not only per diem detention risk and
Trucker
exposure.
detention. Yep, I've been waiting for that one. We talked to somebody on that before, but go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, so you want to minimize your time on the street to minimize your potential to incur detention. But there's also other fees that can add up. Daily chassis fees. The longer your containers are out, the more chassis fees accumulate as well. So you really need a tool to be able to measure the performance through each of the different segments of the process. A tool like ours allows you to do that from a neutral standpoint. You want to be able to scorecard your carriers both on the cost side and the performance side, and have those data-driven conversations.
So when I hear this, there's a word that pops into my head of kind of what you're talking about is visibility. You want to have visibility into what's going on. Would you say that's correct?
Absolutely, yeah, and visibility has been it's such a hot topic in our industry as a whole, and it means a lot of different things depending on who you ask and what their contextual definition of it is. Visibility is essential, and it's not just to know where a container is or where a shipment is, but to your point, it's visibility into performance, it's visibility into cost, and not just what your expense was, but also root causes, so that you are able to start to attack that and improve performance that way.
So how does your platform improve visibility in ways others don't?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Our platform is a little bit different in that it encompasses the features that you'd find in a lot of other different platforms. We do it all in one place. So we provide the, global end-to-end container tracking all over the world, um, focused on imports to the US, exports, wherever your cargo is moving. You need to know where your containers are, but also you need to be able to connect the product to the container so that for a shipper, the container is just a means to get that product somewhere. So we really specialize in connecting the product to the container, providing the complete end-to-end view for the entire life cycle of that shipment so that you're tracking it all the way through. But that visibility is essential to then facilitate the execution of the SOPs through the rest of the import process downstream. What happens once your container gets to the port? How does it then move inland? Each of those components is SOP driven. So our platform also incorporates all the tools customized to those SOPs. Assign truckers, make sure delivery orders are tendered at the right times to the right carriers at the right rates. Taking into account the appointment scheduling or the actual processes and SOPs at the warehouses. Are they live unloads? Are they drop and pick facilities? Do you need an appointment? Do you not? There's a lot of nuance in each of these components that our platform is customized to, so that each site has the right SOP. The visibility helps drive those processes. There's also a lot of workflow automation involved in that. So it takes manual work out of the equation, kind of elevates the role of the users to be able to focus better on performance, flow, and exceptions rather than the minutia of managing each container. And beyond that, it also includes all of the cost management components. So it's not just moving the cargo, it's also managing the cost side of it. Accessorial costs are a very sore subject in a lot of cases, and a lot of that is done very archaically. So we have a great component of our system that allows that SOP to be migrated onto a platform so you gain control visibility, and then reporting also attached to it. So our platform, we call it a carrier neutral platform. So whoever your partners are for all the different processes that you have, they all get incorporated in one place. Our technology goes to you, customer, so that we become the system of record. We're cleaning data, improving the quality, but it's all in one place, made actionable for all stakeholders, but it's also all reportable. So everybody comes together and you can measure each component. So you're able to drive that performance. So for us, we the functionality in our platform is found in a lot of different disparate systems. With us, you can get it all in one place. And we really specialize in customizing it to what each of our customers' needs are.
Okay, so as I'm listening there, this is a topic that I seem to be drawn down this rabbit hole most of the time, but it's the whole two-letter boogeyman, I'll call it, the AI thing. So what role is AI playing in the transportation management industry today, as well as how does it play a role in your platform?
Yeah, it certainly is a hot topic. The technology is rapidly developing, both in capability and applicability. Not every tool that we might use in our personal lives applies within, managing logistics, but some of it certainly does. It's important to note, like for us, we're achieving the outcomes customers desire when they talk about AI without directly using AI to get there. It's a lot of algorithmic analysis and proprietary ways of analyzing data. A lot of what customers think about when they think AI relates to predictive ETAs, predictive analytics, workflow automation. We're delivering all of that today without utilizing AI. As the tech continues to evolve, that might change. But for now, the tools we have in place deliver the outcomes that customers desire. From an IT security standpoint, that's still a good thing. We do IT security assessments for customers, and most, if not all of them, still do not want their data training AI models. So we're able to confidently answer that and have that not raise any red flags. The areas where AI is proving to be beneficial so far really relates to data, and primarily unstructured data within particularly international logistics. So much information is still shared via email in a PDF file or spreadsheet. It's crazy. So how do you deal with that and take that and put it into a platform efficiently? And AI has great application there. Being able to take unstructured data, structure it, and put it into a platform. That's where we're certainly seeing some benefits today. Where it goes is going to be exciting to see, and certainly, again, we're well in tune with that and paying very close attention.
Okay. You mentioned customers. So when a customer, carrier, however you want to define it, adopts your technology for the first time, tell us what the implementation process looks like. And what's the biggest hurdle in getting up and running?
Absolutely, it's a great question. For us, implementation is very, very simple, and our clients get visibility to their shipments almost immediately, like within a couple days. Um, the biggest hurdle itself is getting the list of initial shipments. Typically, customers that need a solution like ours have trouble getting a list of shipments. Once we get that, we take care of the rest without any IT involvement needed from our customers. Um, it really is a simple process. We're a little bit different in that we are extremely flexible with our customers. Um, Again, I mentioned customized. That falls into two categories. One is really on data management. Customers have all different kinds of ways of working. Some have multiple robust systems, others don't. And there's everything in between. So we don't require customers send us information in a certain format. We basically say, send us what you can. We'll ask you any questions. We'll make sense of it together, and we'll translate that into our system. That way we develop what becomes the standard between our company and our customer. So that mindset is really advantageous to the customer. There's a ton of flexibility there. Then, once the shipments are in the system, the customization comes into play on the screens themselves. When a customer implements our solution, initially we have some pre-built dashboards and reports. It's stuff that we review during the sales process. We talk to customers about, like, when you start with us, this is what you'll get right out of the gate. Once you're up and running, if you want to see things differently, whether it's field names, different dashboards for different personas or job functions, a warehouse user is going to want to see something different than the VP of logistics. We customize dashboards and screens that way as well. So it's completely flexible, totally customizable. We have a great starting point so that they get value very quickly, again, within a few days. And then we dig in and work together on how do we unlock the rest of the customization that customers want and need.
Okay. That makes sense to me. Um, I'm going to go general on you again. Uh, what trends are shaping the future of managed transportation?
I would say one of the biggest that I see right now in talking with current customers and potential new customers is everybody seems to being asked to do more with less. Layoffs, reduced staff that needs to do way more than they have traditionally. That is a huge concept. Being asked to do more with less. And AI is shaping part of that conversation. I mean, you see with some mega companies, mass layoffs because they're citing efficiencies from AI. We help customers achieve something similar, very specific to their needs, to where they can implement a solution like ours to gain a functional tool to cover a very important supply chain function. And then they can reallocate staff as they need, whether they need existing staff to do different things, whether they're dealing with a layoff situation or not, hopefully not. But ultimately, it gives the customer flexibility to make sure that a very business essential function has a proper home and then deal with staffing accordingly from that point. So to me, that's probably the biggest that I see is customers being asked to do more with less.
All right. So we hit the general. So can you give our listeners, our watchers, a specific example where you help where your platform helped the customer avoid a issue like this?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There's been a bunch, truthfully, but one specific example um, that I could cite is really related to having giving customers the ability to reallocate staff. We've seen that multiple times to where they might have a department of, let's say, a dozen people, but there's other areas of the business that need more support. Um, and quite frankly, the customer I'm thinking of, the people's experience that were in this kind of like import logistics role, their experience is better suited elsewhere. Import logistics is a very specific, nuanced type of job function that if you're not the right kind of person for it, it could be kind of like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. So customers have worked with us to kind of fill that role and reallocate staff accordingly. More specifically, as it comes to like helping customers avoid problems, there's countless examples. Um, you know, Really, when we're working with retail type companies, the right product being in the right place is essential. So using a platform like ours to be able to pinpoint, okay, this specific SKU is in these containers, and I can reallocate this one that's supposed to go on a train from New York, New Jersey into Ohio. I can actually move it by truck. There's a lot of, very specific operational examples as well. So truly, utilizing our platform helps benefit customers in so many different ways, uh, and some very creative ways too.
So your platform, you can tell me if I'm wrong or not. Your platform helps customers prepare for, if nothing else, supply chain disruptions. Yes? No?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we've implemented solutions during supply chain disruptions specifically to help solve them. We also have helped customers avoid bigger problems because they've already implemented our solution. Um,
Can
so
you
yeah, for
can
sure.
you give an
It's
example of how it's helped a customer avoid the supply chain disruption?
absolutely, yeah. It helped all of our customers before the ILA strike actually happened a couple few years back. I think 2 years
I remember
in
that one.
October.
Yeah.
So our customers were able to identify all of their containers in transit, where they were headed, what might be affected by a strike ahead of time, being able to see not only containers that would be affected, but product that would be affected. That allowed customers to change routings and really prioritize the movement of specific products before a strike. Then, when the strike actually happened, we were able to flag each container and the products within where they were at the time the strike began so that the post resolution recovery, the strike period is one thing, but what do you do after? How do you move the stuff
Uh-huh.
after? The tools in our system helped customers attack that specific to their needs, and each of our customers did that differently. But we built simple dashboards for them. You know, these are where your containers are. These are your hot containers. When the strike's over, move these first, then move these, then move these. And it really helped customers see and do what they needed to do. That also helped. Typically, we're working with a specific group within a very broad organization. This allowed that specific group to tell the story up into the C suite because the strike was certainly mainstream news.
Mm-hmm.
You know, CFOs, chief supply chain officers, CEOs were well aware of what was going on. And the information from our system helped give the right tools to our customers to be able to tell that story internally as well.
Okay. That's awesome. I kind of figured there might be something like that, and that to me sounds like something any shipping company would want is the ability to avoid issues. What's the biggest misconception you've seen from customers before they decide to start working with you?
This is a great question, and it usually is the same or at least similar. And it's customers think they need a huge budget or access to IT resources on their end before they start working with a company like us. Specifically, our approach is different. You're not buying a system when you work with us, but oftentimes customers have that mindset. So a lot of the work that I do in consulting with potential new customers is talking with them about the implementation process and our commercial model and explaining to them, look, you're not going to go pay X to buy a system. We're different. You don't have to sign a contract. A transaction fee covers everything. It's super simple. Um, so really adjusting that and working through that misconception is part of the process.
Okay, so what industries are seeing the greatest logistics innovation, and what's the biggest challenges customers face? Oh, sorry, wrong question. What industries are seeing the greatest logistics innovation? I thought I had a
Yeah.
double one a first and second, but it's two different questions. Sorry. So we'll go with the first one.
Okay. Yeah. I would say, even just from what I see out there in the news and read and everything, it seems like the healthcare logistics industry is really going through a lot of advancement. You see a lot with regard to drone deliveries and piloting of new technologies being applied to logistics on that side of things for sure.
Okay. So now I'm going to flip back to what should have been my second question before is what's the biggest challenge customers face during implementation of your platform? How do you help them overcome it?
Okay, yeah. So the biggest challenges customers face during implementation, and I say this constructively, is overcomplicating things at the start. With us, keep it simple. All we need is a shipments file figure out how to send that to us. If it's emailed in a spreadsheet, that's fine. We don't have to spec out an EDI integration or spend a ton of time programming an API. Send us what you have. We'll figure out how to work with it. We'll get it stood up in the platform, and the process goes from there. And it's very hands-on from our team. We really deliver a great experience that way. So yeah,
Old school. Old school. Give
Keep
me
it
what you
simple.
got. We'll take care of it. I love that. Keep it simple, stupid. People after my own heart.
Yeah, no
Too many
doubt.
years dealing with IT. Excellent. So, couple more questions. One, what's one thing you wish everybody in the shipping industry knew about IMS Transport Solutions?
Yeah, I would, if I could deliver one broad message, it's that our approach is different. It's extremely customer centric and extremely flexible. The customers that we are the right fit for, we're able to build great long-term partnerships. That's really what we're after. We're a privately owned company. We're not PE backed. We haven't had these huge inflections of capital coming in. We're a system that's built by operators for operators. So engage with us, talk to us. What do you need? Is what you're using today not good enough? Are you out there still doing things in spreadsheets and emails? Talk to us. Again, the customers we're the right fit for. We do a great job. We don't see ourselves as a software company, even though we have and provide a sophisticated tech platform. Again, we're operators at heart, and we provide our service in a way that benefits operators within your company, but really impacts the whole supply chain.
All right. So, last question I'll ask you for the day, and this is probably, in my opinion, the most important one. How do people get a hold of you?
Super easy. Check out our website. We actually just redesigned it. It has a lot of great information on there. It's imslog.com. 6 characters and then .com. imslog.com. You can get in touch with us through there. You can contact me directly. My email is obrien.tom@imslog.com. That's obrien.tom@imslog.com. All my contact information's out there. Find me on LinkedIn. We try to make it easy to find us for sure. And, one of the things that I really enjoy is making new connections within the industry. So whether we can help you or not, reach out. Love to talk with you about how you're doing things today, share with you best practices and other ideas of how we've seen customers solve similar challenges. And again, if we can help you, great. If not, happy to help introduce you to anybody in the network. For us, it's all about trying to bring value to customers in more ways than one. So,
And that's O'Brien with an E, not an A or a.
correct.
I was going to say a Y. I don't know. I've seen an O'Brien with a Y, but
I have two, Fred.
All right. So I'm Fred McMurray. This is Cargo Chronicles. We've been talking with Tom O'Brien of IMS Transport Solutions. You can find Tom at imslog.com. If I were you, I would, because their system sounds like it's the cat's meow, but that sounds real old. And okay, never mind. We'll be back again with more Cargo Chronicles. Stay tuned, folks.
Rolling in like the steel tides roar, engines echo through the iron shore, cargo's heartbeat drum.